He suddenly realized that the worst student in his class might actually be a long-distance running prodigy. He had been following the boy by car for 10 whole minutes. The speedometer showed 12 miles per hour, yet the boy never slowed down. That left him a little stunned. Curious to see how far the kid could go, he kept riding behind him until the boy finally noticed.
Why are you following me?
You know how fast you were going?
What are you, a cop?
Can I give you a lift?
No. But you can quit following me.
As he watched the boy walk away, Jim fell into deep thought. The kid he just saw might really be something special. Back home, Jim started digging through old records. He compared times from previous state competitions, and the results shocked him. At that pace, the boy could easily rank among the top 10 runners in the entire state. And that's without proper running shoes. With the right gear, he might even be a champion. Jim felt like he had just discovered buried treasure. As a PE teacher and coach, finding a champion could change everything for him. His reputation, his pay, even his entire life. He could finally leave this small, forgotten town. This was McFarland, one of the poorest places in California. The only reason Jim ended up here was because he had no other choice. He used to be a promising coach, but after accidentally injuring a player during a game, he was fired and labeled as hot-tempered. No school wanted him anymore. Desperate for a job, he moved his entire family to this dusty little town. They were used to city life, so everyone struggled to adjust. There wasn't even a proper restaurant around. Not a single place selling burgers, just tacos and burritos. Crime was bad, and Jim never felt safe. He hated everything about this place and wanted to leave that very day, but no other school would take him, so he had no choice but to stay and teach here. On his first day, he discovered just how undisciplined the students were. When he told them to warm up, 3 of them simply walked off, saying they had to go home to work on the farm. Jim didn't expect much anyway. He barely cared about the class, just told the rest of them to jog a few laps and called it a day. But that's when he noticed something strange. These kids were good at running. Still, he didn't think much of it, until one evening, driving home, he saw Thomas. The boy was running at 12 miles per hour again. Jim couldn't believe it. At that speed, Thomas could run a mile in 5 minutes. The world record for marathon pace was just slightly faster. Thomas was a rare talent. For the first time in a long while, Jim felt a spark of hope. If he could bring these runners together, form a cross-country team, and lead them to victory, he might become a respected coach again, maybe even find a better job elsewhere. He went straight to the principal with his idea, but the principal wasn't interested. There was no funding. That didn't stop Jim.
California public school system pre-approved 6 new sports a few years ago to get funding for new lockers, including, guess what? Cross country.
The principal finally agreed. Now that the team was approved, Jim needed runners. In class, he set up a small race. The top 4 would each get a sports drink. The students jumped at the chance. After the run, Jim picked the best finishers and invited them to join his team. The first to say yes was Johnny, who already loved running. With Johnny's help, Jim quickly recruited 7 runners in total. Of course, Thomas was one of them. Training began, but every time Jim tried running with them, he was out of breath halfway through. 4 kids who ran to school every day. Though, this was nothing. They finished the drills easily. Watching them gulp down free tap water after training, Jim felt a pang of guilt. None of them even owned real running shoes. He said nothing, but he was deeply moved. To test their true ability, he soon registered them for a local race and bought them new uniforms and shoes. The boys were thrilled and full of confidence. But cross-country was a team sport. Scores were based on placement. 1 point for first, 2 for second, and so on. Only the top 5 runners from each team counted, and the lowest total score won. Before the race, other schools laughed at them. They came from McFarland, the poorest town around. The boys felt humiliated, but also determined to prove themselves. When the race started, Thomas ran among the top 3. Others were doing fine too. On flat ground, Thomas was unbeatable. But when the hills came, his pace dropped fast, one after another. Runners passed him. By the time he reached the finish line, he was outside the top 10. Their team came in last. Still, Jim took full responsibility. He blamed himself for not scouting the course earlier. He was disappointed, but not defeated. They had trained too lightly. The next day, he found a steep hill nearby. That became their new training ground. The boys ran until they were gasping for air. When they asked to rest, Jim refused. He told them real victories come only through hard work. They kept running until they could barely stand. Only Thomas kept going, stubborn as ever. To him, no matter how much they trained, nothing would change their lives. Those hills they ran on were made of almond shells, the same shells they had to shovel for work every day. To Thomas, training on them felt meaningless. Even if they won, they'd still end up in the fields. And he was right. These kids were all children of farm workers. Many of them woke up at 5 to wash cars for extra money. Before sunset, they'd ride on trucks to pick crops. That was their life during school breaks. During the week, they got up at 4:30 every morning, climbed onto farm trucks half asleep, and spent hours bent over under the scorching sun. Only when school was about to start did they take off their hats and run through the dusty wind toward class. No wonder they were such strong runners. After learning all this, Jim made a promise to himself. He would help these kids run their way to a better life. He started studying everything he could about cross-country. He watched old tapes, learning every technique. Then, day after day, he passed that knowledge on, riding his pink bicycle alongside the team as they trained. Jim worked hard, and so did the boys. After weeks of training, McFarland High faced one of the best teams in the district. Before the race, Jim gathered his runners and lifted their spirits.
Where are we from?
The race began. They fell behind at first, but their endurance carried them through. When other runners began to fade, Thomas stayed calm and focused. Near the end, he surged forward, passing everyone ahead. The rest of the team followed. One by one, they won their very first race. No wild celebration, just quiet hugs. But in their hearts, they knew this victory meant everything. A few days later, trouble struck again. Three brothers Danny and his siblings suddenly quit the team. Jim went to their house to find out why, but their father shut the door on him. Cross country's like a TV, he said. It's not a necessity. Every hour my sons spend training with you is an hour they could be helping me in the fields. You city people will never understand that. But Jim didn't give up. The next morning, as the brothers climbed onto the farm truck, they were shocked to see Jim sitting among them. Under the blazing sun, he bent down and picked cabbages beside them. By noon, he was exhausted. Only then did he truly understand how hard their lives were. So he made a deal with them. When you have to work late, we'll train afterward. And on days you need to harvest early, I'll come help. We'll make it work together. He kept his word. And soon, the boy's mother noticed his effort. She wasn't easy to convince, but she had a kind heart. The next day, she organized a community fundraiser for the team. The townspeople, all Mexican immigrants, came together joyfully. They donated what little they could. Thanks to them, the team finally had proper uniforms and running shoes. With new gear, training went smoother than ever. From dusty hills to green fields, from golden wheat plains to shaded forests, the boys ran everywhere, leaving their sweat and dreams behind. Jim told them, if we keep winning, we'll make it to the state championship. I can't run for you, but if you want to win, you have to believe in yourselves and in each other. With that trust, they kept winning. Race after race, their names appeared in newspapers. Cross country gave them not only honor, but something even greater, hope. One day, an English teacher read aloud a piece written by Jose, one of the runners. We fly like blackbirds through the morning rain. We rise with the warm wind. When we run, we are the masters of the earth. Our souls soar high, speaking to the gods, watching the world from above. In that moment, we are no longer immigrants, no longer the foolish Mexicans they think we are. The teacher was moved to tears. He thanked Jim for changing their lives. Before the final race that could take them to state, Jim handed out college brochures. He told them, if you make it to college, you can earn enough to help your families for real. After so many wins, they had become the pride of McFarland. At the regional finals, all they needed was a top 4 finish to qualify. Right before the race, Jim received an offer from a prestigious high school, a chance to finally earn more and move away. But this time, he hesitated. He couldn't just walk away from these kids. When the starting gun fired, everything they had endured led to this moment. Thomas took the lead, the others close behind. The hill that once broke them now felt like level ground. Thomas reached the final stretch still in first place, but a glance over his shoulder made him stumble and fall. He got back up and ran as fast as he could, but finished second. One by one, the others crossed the line. Then came the tense moment of the final results. First place was announced, then second, then third. If they could just get fourth, they'd move on to state. But just then, Thomas turned to Jim and revealed a secret that would change all of their lives forever. Want to know what happened next? Follow me. The rest of the story is coming soon.